1,000 views. Hey everybody! Oh, go live. Okay, premium account. Okay. Oh,
wait, hang on. I have to change
Aaron
mine.
has
It's not
premium
Friday.
account.
Yep.
You can't go live on Aaron's account. Hey everybody! An error occurred. We'll try again.
There we go.
There we go. Well, I think we're live on everybody. We're here. As if we couldn't go live on Aaron's account because he doesn't have a premium account, so he probably doesn't go on Twitter anymore. Greg, how are you today?
I'm just making it every day.
Yeah, you know, it's we've of course been
day by day.
We've been dealing with the adjustment of status memo, of course, for a lot of our clients and a lot of people questioning. I actually did 2 op-eds today on that and talked to way too many reporters about that case. The more I read that memo, the more I think that you can literally make the law say anything you want it to say, even if it's truly awful. I mean, they did a great job of misrepresenting cases and taking quotes out of context and trying to support this idea that Congress has a law that's been around for 74 years, amended 20 times, and somehow shouldn't be used.
Well, and there's a BIA decision from 1970 that seemed to work pretty well all this time. Plus,
well, you know,
Amy Nice. Did you read Amy Nice's memo about the 20?
Oh yeah, the 20 times.
The 20 changes Congress made in adjustment of status to make it.
Matter about it says clearly, absent negative factors, adjustment should be granted. I mean, it's just like, come on, Joe. I think ultimately this may end up being a big nothing. I mean, people call me to sue. You know, should we sue? Well, you can't sue yet. It hasn't done anything, right? Nobody's been negatively affected other than your psyche. So you really can't sue on it yet. And you've got to have standing, right? You got to be affected by it somehow. And, you know, that means you got to get denied. So if you're going to get denied, yeah, we can happen.
I mean, it's going to happen. I think there are just some overzealous examiners who are going to. I mean, we know about the memo, and you know what's been circulating and how the questions are, and it just takes one examiner that decides that they're going to.
Extra. I think it was in Memphis, wasn't it, Ari, where the guy asked him why you didn't consular process?
We've also heard about the 3 questions. I don't know if you saw like the 3 questions that they've all been ordered. Apparently, there were lawyers in Chicago and Yakima, Washington, and other places that said that they got the same 3 questions in the interviews that they had today. So,
because I think the better answer is I don't have to. I can adjust status. It's the law.
Right.
You know, it's the law. So it's a stupid question. I don't want to go home for the next 10 years while I wait something out. So, all right, let's take a look at some of our cases here, Greg. We don't have Jesse or Zach with us.
Zach,
we're exhausted. He's got a new baby too. You know, he's doing all this work from a new baby. Let's take a look at the 75 country pause case. I've got my notes here because I went on and looked at everything again.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Just to check on the 75 country pause case. That's the Massoud case in DC, and we're now in the process of preparing. We don't know if the government's going to file a motion to dismiss in that case. They haven't at this point, but we do have in the Boston case, which is also a 75 country case, where the government has filed a motion to dismiss and it's fully briefed, and we're just literally waiting on the judge on the motion to dismiss. You know, part of the problem with preliminary injunctions is you got to show irreparable harm. And it's really hard to show irreparable harm these days if you're stuck abroad waiting the process, because they want you to be stuck abroad anyway waiting the process. So you have to show some severe damage abroad. So that's why motion for summary judgment, which is what you want anyway, because you want a final order, is generally the best modus, but you can't really do that until you get the administrative record, which means you can't wait till the government to respond. So it's kind of a long way of saying we're just still pending. On the DV lottery case, the case, by the way, is now called Chursak. It's not leaked anymore. Oh, Zach's here. Yay.
Hey, Zach.
Zach is here. So the DV lottery case is, Zach, welcome. Good to see you. We need to get Zach a better camera.
I know somebody's got to.
Have you ever cleaned that camera?
I mean, like a filter on
there. A little Windex or something. I don't know what's going on there. But it's now called the Chursak case. For Leaked is not the plaintiff anymore. So he's out. So it's now Chursak. That is fully briefed on cross motion. So the question now becomes, when will Judge Leon rule on it? Was he going to have a hearing? Is there going to be arguments? I don't know. So I think what we'll probably do, and I talked to Jesse about this, is probably call the court's clerk and say, do you want to have oral argument on this case? We're ready to go if you want us to do that. We also today started the second round of onboarding for the next DD lottery case. So take a look at that as well. But we'll be working on that. It's just a question of, we're in front of the judge. Judge Leon is not known for sitting on cases. I mean, he's not. He's the ballroom judge. He was the judge in our litigation on the wage rule, the first wage rule back in the day. He was on top of that too. So I don't expect that, what if he takes till August? Well, I mean, he can. I just don't think he will on fully briefed motions for summary judgment. I just don't think he's going to do that. And where we're going to file the second DD case is probably, we've been talking to Curtis because Curtis is doing one as well. I think he's going to be filing out in California, I think, the Ninth Circuit. We might explore that. We have filed previously.
By the way, I read, I think it was New York Times yesterday, did a story about federal courts and pro se litigation that has exploded because of ChatGPT. And they're talking about a major crisis in the courts with judges that have just no capacity to be able to deal with all these filings. And I think we're sort of we're basing our assumptions on how long things take based on based on the last several years and how long they take. But this is a new phenomenon that's really sort of taken hold in the last 18, 24 months.
Seen it in immigration. A lot of people filing pro se stuff and then calling lawyers when the U.S. attorney calls them out on the garbage they've been filing.
Right, but I mean, even if they're good cases or not, people are just filing a lot more cases, and they're just overwhelmed in
they're not adding judges, and certainly the U.S. attorneys have even a worse problem because there are far fewer U.S. attorneys than there were even 2 years ago. And as I talk to,
that doesn't affect the number of judges that are out there, even though they're far. But the judges themselves, their workloads have exploded.
Oh, no. Plus the habeas cases that got thrown at them, thousands of habeas cases. The last time there was something like this, Greg, was back in 2003 and 2004 under the first George Bush administration, when they basically refused to naturalize anybody from a Muslim country. And so the courts were literally flooded with mandamus and 336B cases, so much so that Roberts went to Congress and complained about it to get more judges. So maybe that's what it takes here.
I've been hearing there's a $25,000 bonus to join the U.S. Attorney's office right now.
Well, because nobody that's
not enough. It's not enough.
On the bottom tier of law schools. I mean, U.S. Attorney's job is to be the ultimate job. That was the ultimate job. I mean, you get a job at the U.S. Attorney's office, you're the man. Now,
the prestige that it used to have, I guess.
Well, good luck finding a job after leaving the DOJ, because a lot of them are going to lose their jobs probably in the next administration.
Oh yeah, they'll just fire all those.
And then they're going to have to go out and explain to prospective employers what motivated them to join the Trump administration.
Well, I mean, that $25,000 signing bonus.
Liberty Law School. So there you go. The Georgia case. Let's go to the 39 country case now. Which now that Zach is with us,
I'm here.
The Georgia case is now called the Cairo case. In case you were curious, that is the name of the case in the Cairo case. To give you an update, we had to wait, of course, to find out who was leaving the Georgia case before we could go to the U.S. attorney. And so we did that on Thursday to the U.S. attorney and said, hey, here's folks have EADs. We want EADs. Judge invited us to do it. We can go to the judge. We can get it, but we'd rather not have to wait the time frame and do all the briefing and everything that we needed. Would your client do it? Everybody knows it was a weekend. It was a holiday weekend Lots of folks were gone Thursday, Friday, and of course Monday, including our U.S. attorney that's on this case. So I spoke to him first thing Tuesday morning. He had gotten the email while he was out. He had arranged an appointment with his client because the U.S. attorneys can't make decisions. They do what their client tells them to do. And so he had a call this afternoon with the USCIS. I have not heard back from him. I've emailed him to ask him if he's got any news to share with me. I'm actually checking right now. No, so no news to share. As soon as we have news to share, we will let our clients know whether they're going to process the EDs or we'll go ahead and prepare the motion for the court.
We've notified them of the doctors as well.
Yeah, and to so far there's only like 4. I thought there would be more. There's 4 doctors, including 1 researcher. So hopefully,
I spoke to him as well, and I think that one thing is that we do feel pretty confident that he's pushing to try to get this. I don't think that he's just trying to waste time. He does seem to really want to resolve these cases.
He hates
I know that he does. I know that there is a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and I mean, for good reason. But us not filing like a TRO immediately is not a sign of anything but our confidence that this is going to result in some positive decisions for plaintiffs.
Yeah, and if we got to file TRO, we'll go ahead and file it. And the judge obviously seems disposed to grant it, so we'll go from there.
Right. I guess that's the second part, is that we are fully prepared to do that when and if this is not working out. But at this point, it does seem to be working out.
You have to give a lawyer a chance. The DOJ lawyer.
And Rodney's a good lawyer, so who's never done an immigration case before. But hey,
yeah, he's super happy about that.
The new case that Zach filed for the folks from Georgia is the Yilla case in Maryland. It was initially signed to Judge Paula G, but it was reassigned to the chief judge yesterday or today. And Zach, I know you're preparing a PI up there for that, and I know you told
TRO for that one that I should have for. So the reason I'm late is because I was getting all these things ready for everybody's final review and sign off. The TRO should be in the attorney's inboxes tonight, and so we'll file it either tonight or tomorrow morning for
tomorrow morning. Give us a chance to look at it tonight. So that'd be great. All right. So that's great news for those folks. That of course is the Yilla case. And Zach, give us an update on I don't know the name of the Colorado case. I forgot it. So
Amati is the case.
Right. Tell us about the Amati.
For that, we got the government's response last Tuesday, which was, I mean, pretty similar to all the responses that we've gotten so far in these 39 cases, these 39 country cases, not the 39 cases. It's, no jurisdiction, not final agency action. This isn't against the law. And we have our response date on Friday. So we will respond on Friday. And then next Wednesday, for anybody who's in Denver, that's oral argument. They have us scheduled from 1:30 to 5. So
wow, that's like an hour and a half longer than our judge gave us in Georgia.
I know this is going to be it's going to be a marathon, and I've already got less than a perfect voice right now. I'm a little sick, so we're going to be seeing if I last all the way through this 4 hours of arguments.
Got to gargle with some
seriously.
Seriously.
And then I guess the other one, we've got our other Maryland case, Raji, which is got the PI ready to go as well. This is, again, attorney's inboxes filing tonight or tomorrow morning if that's what we need to do.
By the way, did you get an order admitting you to Maryland?
No, I've got to file that still.
Also been transferred to Judge Russell?
That one is not.
That was also transferred to the chief.
Oh, all right, so they're all but so he's actually made he's the one who's had one other case in Maryland, so I think it's just a matter of he knows this, and so he's kind of taking all the related cases.
Well, good, and he's the chief judge, and hopefully he wants to rule on it quickly.
Appointed in 2012 by Barack Obama.
Oh, it's always good to have a Barack Obama appointee. All right, so and the last case is the F1, the visa revocation case. Well, the visas, this is actual visas. we're just waiting on the court's decision at this point on the motion to dismiss. There's generally never oral argument on a motion to dismiss. Once the judge rules, hopefully in our favor, then we can go ahead and file for summary judgment in that case and get that order done. So that's kind of where we are, or at least if he denies this, negotiate with them to reissue those visas. Zach, we already talked about the lottery cases, just FYI, so we're good there. We got some questions up here. Let's take a look at some questions here. Gentlemen, a few questions. DV20 is $1,000. The website, I just emailed Kirby about fixing the website. We talked about Judge Leon. We're going to call his chambers clerk and see when he wants to schedule oral argument for that. Any update on EADs? Yes, we just gave the update on the EADs. And hopefully either tonight or probably tomorrow. U.S. attorneys generally don't work after 6 o'clock. So I suspect I'll hear in the morning from him. And we'll send an email to people once we get the answer. In Ahmed versus Trump, Exhibit D, Paragraph 8, U.S. lifted the place in either for you. Does this apply to everyone or only the plaintiffs in that lawsuit?
It should be everyone. I-130 petitions filed by U.S. citizens on behalf of their spouses. It should be for everyone.
You don't have to answer. So why just I-130s?
Yeah. Well, because it doesn't give you anything really by itself. The same thing. They also unpaused I-129Fs, and it's like, great. Now they're not going to schedule you for a K1 appointment.
That's why they're doing it. Classic. Have you noticed the lawyer about the physician's EAD case in Georgia?
Yes.
What lawyer?
Yes, we notified them. We notified Rodney about the census.
Of course. I mean, didn't I just say that? That was an interesting question. Hello. Have you seen the doctors? Answered. Yeah. Doctors' case moving forward to an exemption from the ban. That's Greg. Have you seen immigration moving on the doctors?
No. We have been told that by some of the DOJ lawyers that are on some of these cases that something is coming, but it's now almost a month, the better part of May since this announcement happened, and lots of media fanfare that this was happening, and yet nothing has happened. We've seen anecdotal reports of 765s being approved for some doctors, including Jesse Bless in one of his cases had 5 VADs approved for doctors, but it is definitely not. We're not seeing a trend across the country of these cases being adjudicated yet. So, and of course, for the impact doctors that are in the Georgia case, we have in fact separated them out and asked about those specifically. What are we expecting this point in Chursak? Should we hear from the judge? We kind of talked about this already. Generally, Leon would have an oral argument on a case like this. So again, we're going to reach out to his clerk and ask if he's going to have oral argument, and when we could set that according to our schedules, because almost all of us will be in mid-June. We will be in San Diego at an immigration lawyers conference. So we prefer to do this before then, if that's possible. Paul Leginis is no longer on the case. I felt optimistic about it too, but I also am very optimistic about the chief judge, who's already ruled on this issue in our favor. What do you think will happen to the country ban with those DACA recipients? So there's a lot of DACA recipients that are in these 39 countries. And again, they should be issuing the EADs when we win these cases. It's completely insane. DACA kids who literally lived their whole life here, right? There is no record abroad. There is no vetting abroad that these guys need. None. Maybe a DACA-specific one would be a really interesting lawsuit. Because de facto, none of them were outside the country as children, as adults. Interesting issue. Congrats to Zach. We talked about your beautiful baby, and
thank you. That's why I have these.
Well, Zach, they never go away. Always the baby. I think the problem is uncertainty driving fear. I wonder how this would fare in those AOS interviews. Which gets me to a point. If you go to an AOS interview without a lawyer, you're insane.
It was interesting because one of our lawyers was at USCIS today, and one of the examiners told him, "You better tell all your clients to have lawyers with them. It'd be in their best interest." Yeah. Absolutely. I was surprised. I mean, he's a pretty friendly guy that was mentioning it, but it was like he knows what's coming. he was, yeah, it seems like they're pretty upset. Some of the examiners are like basically completely, it seems like bowled over by, by what came on Friday. I mean, a lot of them are sort of like, I don't think they want to be in the position that they're about to be in.
No, I mean they didn't take this job so they could deny people on every basis. I mean, it's just
No. Well, I mean, it's a big chunk of them are spouses of U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
And that's they're asking them a
the
lot of
vast
questions.
majority are going to be spouses of U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who they interview. So please, so David Cookie, great name by the way. Are
Yes,
you not?
that was filed. Yeah, if you're not getting the email or send the contact page on Impact, whatever the website is, on the Impact website.
I do know it was posted on
Yeah,
that.
so if you're not getting the emails, it's like let me know through the contact page. I will shoot something over to the
Yeah,
team.
you should have gotten that.
Email.
You're trying
This
to be
was filed in like May 6th, I think it was filed. So
yeah, I mean, just so folks know, when you're talking about large numbers of people, we're not just sending out one individual email at a time to everybody. We're using we use Constant Contact to distribute, and every case has its own list for Constant Contact. Sometimes Constant Contact is picked up by spam filters and email goes awry. You should check with us if you're not getting things that you're expecting, and if it turns out that we can see if it actually left the server and went to the correct address. If that's the case, you're probably going to need to check your spam filter, or if you're getting it at a work address, check your
whitelist us. You got to whitelist us. LaPearl, thank you very much. Can you explain if the PI is granted an internet country case and the pause is lifted, how does the case proceed? Will you get us the promised future benefits exemption in the final order and not settle with the government?
So if we get a PI granted and we have an order from the judge, there's no settling with the government. It's just the government has to comply with the order. If the order says adjudicate the benefits, or these folks are no longer subject to the pause, then we should be seeing adjudications. And if we're not seeing adjudications, that's when we go to the government lawyer and say, hey, why are none of these premium process cases, for example, getting decisions? Like, this is you guys are failing in your statutory duty right now. This says you got to make a decision in 15 days. And they say, oh, we're still not complying with this. And then we go to the judge and say, Judge, they're not complying with your order, and we can do a motion to enforce or something like that. So like, if we have a PI granted and this pause is lifted, like, cases should move. And there are ways to kind of push this. Like, it should move without us doing things, but if they don't move without us doing things, there are ways for us to kind of.
We should remind people. I mean, other policies come into play as soon as the cases start moving, such as this new adjustment of status policy. So, it could be the case that your case moves, and then you have to deal with this other issue. That's not retaliation. It's not. It's like it's affecting everybody. But you should know that in some cases, once cases start moving, it may not be your only problem that you have to deal with.
In order. Remember, we didn't file a mandamus in this case, so to take your case out of order. So if you just filed your adjustment in January, the lift is gone. I mean, the pause will be gone for you, but you still filed in January, so you still got to get in the normal adjustment process, for example. Good afternoon. What is your opinion of people who won the Hacking McBean PI not been adjudicated? I'm honestly, I don't know anything about the Hacking McBean.
To your lawyers, I guess, about it. I would talk to your attorneys. They probably have time.
Talk to Jim.
It could be an issue with some of the judges give a timeline, and some of the judges just say adjudicate, and then it's just like you basically have to go back to the judge and complain later on when nothing's happening.
Yeah, and then so I do like this one. I think Zach can afford it.
Hopefully, I can pay for a webcam.
I think we've vergonzado him into getting a new webcam.
I just have to be heckled enough.
I would suggest, by the way, eye contact. I love because it extends down from the top of your screen, into the middle of the screen, not the middle, but it comes down a couple of about 4 inches, so you can you're looking at the cam instead of looking up, and you're looking right at your screen. So it's actually kind of nice.
We have sponsored
The
content
clarity
now.
of an iMac is the answer.
Yeah, well, you got that too. Gabby Gal, for the Maryland case, how will you make sure the case will actually get processed if TRO PI is granted? How do you know? Well, okay. A lot of people. Well, that's the problem. If you are out of place in line, you should be at the front of the line. If the line has passed you by, you should be doing. The thing is that USCIS is very opaque these days. They're not publishing their statistics. The processing time dates on their webpage doesn't seem to be based in any reality that we're aware of. But without that data, which you only collect through a FOIA at this point, it's hard to tell. Did somebody who filed after you get approved? Sure. Did somebody file?
There are third-party collectors of data, though. I mean, lawfully, and there are a couple of companies that are out there that at least you can. Actually, it's probably more reliable than what you get out of USCIS for some of those companies, but it's not going to be government data.
No, so lawfully might have that information. Has the PI been filed in the third round? We've already talked about that. Be filed tomorrow, right, Zach? Is that right?
Tonight or tomorrow, depending on when I get thumbs up from everyone.
That'd be great. All right. So $100,000 case dismissed. No, you asked this question to me. Why did you ask that earlier too?
I can talk about that one. There are three cases for the H1. We didn't mention the H1B case earlier?
We did. We didn't mention it because it's still pending, and we got nothing to share.
No, but I do want to say something about that because it's there are three of these cases that are all sitting with nothing happening in different parts of the country for the H1Bs. One is our case, Global Nurse Force in San Francisco. We're now more than 2 months. Well, it was March that we had our arguments. It's close to 3. We are every day we say it's coming. It's got to be coming before the Memorial Day weekend. That was Jesse's last words on Friday afternoon. But that's where we are. The state attorneys general case in Boston, May 29th. I believe they have arguments. So that is Friday. Is today Wednesday? Yeah. So it's Friday.
And we're still waiting on the DC Circuit to make a decision.
And Jesse is going to hopefully he was planning on attending live that hearing to see how it goes.
Friday.
Yeah. And then we're waiting on the DC Circuit for the chamber case. So nothing bad has happened in any of these cases. Nothing good has happened in any of these cases. They're all just kind of in a hole.
Nothing has happened. All right, Zach, here's a question for you.
So this one, I get a lot of emails about this. People are really worried about your harms. You really want to update your declarations. You really want your harms focused on in particular filings. One thing that I really, really want folks to remember about the Georgia case, about really all these cases, is that there have been no questions that you are irreparably harmed. Like nobody is saying that you're not harmed. So we don't need additional evidence of your harms, because all the judges are like, yeah, obviously this is just a tremendous amount of harm. I think there was a hearing the other day.
Even Greenberg said there's harm.
Yeah, there was a hearing the other day where it was in the Rhode Island case, and the government attorney there was not conceding that there was injury, and the judge all but just yelled at them. It was like, how could you say such like a ludicrous thing? Like this is it was yeah. There's no need for us to really supplement the harms. The big part of the PI, the TRO, things like this is not the harms as much as it is the merits, I guess, at this point. And nobody is saying you losing your job, you losing status, you being afraid of losing all these things in the future is not an irreparable harm. So not necessary for us to have giant declarations from everybody. Even Grimberg, who did deny the PI, said that this was irreparable harm for plaintiffs.
All right. I think Frank Wright is complaining, although it's a little unclear. And that is a truly bizarre picture. AOS loopholes. Don't know what that is. Parole workarounds. Don't know that. Domestic discretionary relief. I think he's complaining about the new AOS memo. I don't really understand that, but there you go. Amy Pat, who is a frequent listener and not a first-time commentator, since chance of getting approved is now not. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's getting approved anymore the day of the interview. No one, because officers are no longer allowed to approve cases. You know that, Greg?
Yeah, in fact, one of our colleagues posted to our listserv that you and I are on, and I think Zach's on it as well today, a colleague in Boston, saying that the adjudicator the examiner was ready to approve today and basically said that she can't do anything now without permission, and she's waiting on that.
They have to be supervisory approved for everything. I'm surprised Joedlo isn't reading each case at night before he goes to bed to approve it himself. Agile Boy Chill, when would you be going to update your collective TRO on the Georgia case? He says, we will file that as quickly as humanly possible if tomorrow they tell us they're not going to give us EADs. And we'll update you right away.
Give him a couple of days.
Right. Let's see. The Cairo embassy doesn't schedule even one interview with DV. Yeah, we know that because they were told not to. Not scheduling anything. I mean, it's happening all over the world. It's not just Cairo. What are your thoughts on the hack? Oh, somebody asked that question. Any comments about the new memo? It will affect outcomes in 39 country ban cases. You know, what I dislike is when people quote a memo with a number, like
it's the adjustment memo.
Like the Library of Congress, just call it the adjustment of status memo. That's what lawyers call it. Lawyers don't call it by these numbers. They just call it the adjustment of status memo. Or the pause memo. We don't track the numbers. Well, obviously it affects everybody, right? It affects everybody.
I don't know. I don't know if it affects everybody because I don't know how much, what it's going to do. So we know that they're asking a couple of. There's like four new questions.
I'm not sure it's going to have a real effect ultimately, except for the random people that are, some officer gets a wild hair and just denies a case.
It's hard to say because the headlines, scary headlines. Everybody's got a concert process. The memo itself, though, is like, hey guys, remember you have discretion, and poking I think there's a couple of categories that are going to be a little bit more impacted than others. But by and large, the actual memo itself, I don't know how much.
The only thing I'll say is that there's communications that are happening between headquarters and local USCIS offices and the service centers about adjudications that we're not seeing.
Definitely true.
So we don't know. We don't know exactly. We don't have the whole picture yet.
Sounds like it's FOIA time. I think Stephen Brown is FOIA stuff. Thank you, Stephen.
10 days. That's all they get.
3 years, we'll see it. Have you seen any movement on the physician waiver backlog or the Mass J physician rejections from India? Greg?
I have not seen. I mean, I've heard about the problems with the J physicians in India. I'm guessing that it's being worked from political angles right now because that's going to present major problems for teaching hospitals that are in a lot of important congressional districts. So that's but there's some precedent for this happening. I think the last time was at the beginning of COVID, which was in April when the shutdowns of the consulates started, I guess. I'm trying to remember, April 2020. As you guys probably wouldn't know this, but the July 1st is the official date of the beginning of the physician graduate years. So all the J's are typically processing in the month of June, which is about to happen. So that last time that happened was in the first Trump administration, and that was one of the rare instances where pragmatism won the day, and they basically opened up all the consulates just for doctors to be able to come in for their residency programs. Now, granted, it was a public health emergency at the time, but the residents are filling fairly important functions in a lot of cities. So my guess is that they're going to be handled.
You have great faith. Great. What about H-1Bs in the Georgia case? Well, H-1Bs in the Georgia case, I think, Zach, are going to have to wait the 60 days that Grimberg said.
So there's kind of two parts to this. So either it's 60 days, or when we do the TRO PI, if
Right.
necessary, for the work authorization, we throw in, hey, and you know what you didn't really consider is people who are already here in status. We're trying to extend their status.
Yeah.
So I think that there's also that angle
Do that
for
the
it too.
TRO if we have to. Yes. Can you talk about the timeline for the PI in the Raj case in Maryland, Raji case, and what adjustment for EAD for STEM OPT? Is there any difference in 765 and STEM OPT?
So the estimate for the PI is, let's say, 24 hours or
Yeah.
less than
We
24
just got
hours.
time to review it tonight or in the morning before we file it tomorrow.
Um, Estimate for an EAD for STEM OPT, and if there's difference between 765 45 and STEM OPT, I think that depends on. Well, okay, let me back up. With an EAD for STEM OPT, you could premium process that. So you could have that much faster just by virtue of the fact that there's premium processing in place for that, as opposed to 765 for a 45. But if you filed your 765 for your 45 a year ago and it hasn't been approved yet, there's, I think both of them could be processed pretty expeditiously after a PI is granted.
If you filed them a year ago, if you filed them a week ago, no. I mean, it just depends on when.
With the STEM OPT, that lets you get the premium processing going.
Yeah, exactly. That lets you do that. So you may have, if you filed it, right before we filed this case, then you're going to have to premium process the case to get it. Let's see. I have my interview tomorrow for a marriage green card. I'm also in a country Maryland case, which says I should say my country is banned, and therefore I cannot process. You should definitely not volunteer why they shouldn't adjudicate your case. Just go to your interview. Congratulations on your marriage. And bring a lawyer with you. Hopefully, you've got a lawyer taking that interview with you. But don't say, "I know you can't adjudicate me," because don't say that. No. But be prepared to question why you didn't consular process. Any updates regarding the dual citizens of the United countries? This is something that's confused me since the beginning. If you're a dual citizen, this ban does not apply to you. Why are they being?
It does.
Well, the ban, the visa, the entry ban doesn't apply to you. The pause applies, so there's not even a clear, instant explanation
It makes
for
no
that.
legitimate sense why it applies. If it doesn't apply to come in the country, why does it apply in the pause?
Right. Exactly.
There's lots of good immigration lawyers around the United States. There are. You can find a lot of them at AILA.org. And search by attorneys in your city.
17,000 on there.
Okay. This is another. I know this is the same question about that. I call those lawyers, ask them. Does the 1130 pause lift mean anything when it comes to embassy issuing visas for the application instead of giving 212Fs? 212. Well, there's a separate litigation on the denials on 212F. 212F is not a basis to deny a visa, and that litigation is ongoing as well.
But the pause lift doesn't mean anything for this.
No. If the judge rules in favor of the Dorcas case, would that actually mean in practice people pending 45 and under DEC and December and Jan memos?
So I think that if the Dorcas case is successful, there's kind of two things that could happen. USCIS either says, all right, rolling over, these policies are vacated, and then we are back to as if this never happened in the first place, which is great. We amend to only challenge the negative factors policy, and everybody's cases are moving forward. Like, that is a wonderful, wonderful outcome. The other potential outcome is they have their case appealed, because theirs is much more widespread. I mean, they're looking to vacate the entire policy, and we have seen a bigger appetite for appeals on these large-scale relief-type lawsuits. So either it's like, awesome, everybody is no longer subject to a pause, or it's a still kind of a little bit more drawn-out fight that the folks at Things Democracy Forward have to put on.
All right. Do we have enough time until September 30th? Referring to the second lottery case, the answer is yes. Keep in mind, in 3 weeks, they approved 9,000 cases in 2019. So yes, they can adjudicate.
What month of the year did we get that decision? I'm curious. I can't remember.
Well, we got one decision on September 9th and one decision next year, like on September 3rd.
Right. So that was pretty late in the game.
Yeah, very late in the game. Can we file a lawsuit against immediate relative customer for some information and sham waiver that hasn't been granted to anyone? Zach, you got anything on this?
I think we're talking about the fact that immediate relatives are banned from processing a bunch of different countries now, and not just the 39. We've got 75 as well. And the fact that they're like, hey, you can apply for a national interest exemption, and that just doesn't exist.
Nobody grants. Yeah, it's never been granted to my knowledge.
Anyway. The fact that it doesn't exist is like, well, great, you say this so that you can say it in litigation that there's an exemption, but nobody's ever been granted this thing. I mean, yeah, you can file a lawsuit on that. I think it's, you could.
Right. This is a really interesting question. And Zach, I know you have the answer to this question because you answered this question earlier kind of in a back way.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, they can just kind of update their software.
It is to maintain the list of litigation. Yes.
So it is pretty. It's a little bit awkward because a list. It's really just like a list gets sent around because first off it has to go to Joe Edlow, who's got to say yeah sure let's. But anyways, there's a list. Your name gets put in the system as being lifted from the hold through litigation, and yeah, that's kind of how it works. Just in the system, you get flagged as not paused.
All right. This is about the second DD case. Ends June 19th to give people ample time to sign up. Is that enough time to file? We're going to file immediately within a few days, probably 4 or 5 days of that date. The reason is that week, the week of the 15th, is the annual conference of the American Immigration Law Association, and we're simply not available to work on the case. So I don't want to cut filing off on the 15th, and I won't be able to file it for 8 days. I'd rather take more people in and then file it when I would have filed it anyway. So hopefully it answers it. And that's more than enough time. We got plenty of time. Any hope for that 180-day timeline the government gave initially?
So they didn't. This is from presidential proclamation saying that we're going to revisit the. If I'm understanding your question right, this is not actually something the government said. This is just from the presidential proclamation saying I'm going to revisit the travel bans every 180 days, and what I would expect is that it's going to only get worse. I don't think that he's going to be like, hey, you know what? Iranians are no longer subject to a travel ban. I think that these 100-day reviews are going to be either nothing or some countries being shuffled around between full bans and partial bans, and it's not going to really impact things on a major basis.
So they're doing that because SCOTUS makes them do that. I don't think they're serious about it. So this fellow has already been interviewed, put in advanced administrative processing because of the pause. So you win the lawsuit, tell the consulate, hey, no longer a pause. But at that point, you may have to, depending on what the size, you might have to file a mandamus, depending on how long your AP has been in and what if that's the only reason for the AP or there's other reasons. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the Dorcas hearing was great. If you didn't have a chance to listen, try to find the transcript. What stops CIS from saying, despite the PIs, your field office is 12 months process and leave it 12 months on purpose, they hope your case is in favor and solved. Basically, if you feel like your case is taking longer than the normal in your area, you can file a mandamus action.
Or if there's a PI or summary judgment saying that you have to do something, that the government is supposed to do something they didn't, your lawyers can take it back for a motion to enforce, motion for contempt. I mean, they have to comply with these things.
We can do. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a good point. The news media, who knows nothing about immigration law, takes the government's headline on their press release and writes about that press release headline without actually reading. And now, 4 or 5 days later, now I'm getting calls from reporters saying, what does it really mean? So, why adoption has an exception from travel ban and not spouses and biological, which I'm thinking the top line question.
This is actually, though, the reason's pretty funny is because right when the travel ban went into effect, the lawyer Mark Steven won a TRO and the government was like, oh crap, let's put an exception in for this. And then they just apparently forgot that biological children were not in there as well. So it's a stupid thing, but it all stems from like a TRO being successful at the very, very, very beginning of this.
Yeah, physicians have really been screwed by this whole thing. The delays, the H's. I mean, it's just Americans are going to die because of this. Americans are going to die. DV 2020 already asked this question. Okay, thanks, Zach. Take care of your newborn and your wife. Take some sleep if you can. Awesome. Good to see you again. Will the judge for the second round DV be the same as the first? No, because we're filing in a different place, and we will file a PI. Probably with the complaint. There's no reason not to file it with the complaint. The PI is done. The onboarding. I asked this question. You misunderstand my question. I meant, do you handle future benefits that are not pending in third countries? Zach, you want to have? Yeah, I know how I understand what we're doing. Can you go ahead and address this?
Yeah. So let's assume that. So this wouldn't be the PI part of things. This would be the permanent injunction, the final order from the judge saying pause doesn't apply to plaintiffs in this case. You cannot apply the pause or negative factors memo. And then let's say that they pause an application for you in the future. We could go back to the government attorney and be like, hey, remember this order from the judge that said that you're not supposed to do this? Well, it's being done. Can you please fix this? Usually the government attorney would be pretty happy with that. If we have to, we could reopen the case and say, judge, your order is not being complied with. But ideally that is not necessary because you just have your order saying, look, you have to process my case.
Yeah, and this is the same with Primoli Prime. Basically, we will go back to the government lawyer and say, you're not following the rule. You want us to file a contempt motion, or do you want to tell your client to adjudicate the case? Okay. I'm a dual citizen. I have evidence through my congressional office that you are still applying the pause clause to my EAD and AOS. Hope this will be mentioned in the Maryland case.
It's something. So a little bit. It's not highlighted in like. Look,
it's David's case. It's not you doing that.
It's evidence that this is an arbitrary and capricious policy. It's one of those arguments you can make because they could tie it to something else. They could say, oh no, it's based off of this January 20th presidential proclamation saying you got to do more vetting. Even though we cite the travel bans, that's not really like they could still make arguments to try to weasel their way out of it. It's just evidence though that like this is clearly not a well-considered policy. They didn't think through things because they included people in this pause that are excluded from the actual travel bans.
With the USCIS pause lifted from 30 days, should plaintiffs join the other lawsuits that challenge issues of visas at embassies after they receive their immediate input? Else what? Generally, I know all of our plaintiffs in our 75 country pause case had pending DS-260s. So it's not just having an I-130 approved, you've got to be in the DS-260 process as well before you file on that. I mean, the ultimate goal is they lose enough times they get rid of the policy. That's kind of the goal for all these lawsuits. We just have to get enough of these wins under our belts. Can the USCIS keep premium processing fees even though they didn't adjudicate the case in time? The answer, Greg, is no.
They're going to try, though. They're going to try.
Actually, I have heard reports they're sending money back. I have seen reports.
Yeah, really? I mean, we've been having discussions about that issue, and we just need examples of people that once cases resume that they didn't get it, but I mean, we're not in a position yet to know what they're going to do.
Yeah,
I don't think you said people are getting money back, but I mean,
yes,
they're getting money back while their case is still paused.
Yeah, not clearly most people haven't, but at least two that I saw in the last week have.
Okay, I haven't heard that, but that's good news, obviously.
All right. So, do you believe Rubio trying to justify these reforms, saying 20 million entered illegally? Well, we've seen Trump make that number up. I mean, the number is probably closer to 4 million, maybe 5 during the 2 years that we had the big surge in 23 and 24. But 20 sounds way worse. So you might as well lie about it. The new lawsuit, do you separate lawsuit or do you add their names? No, it's a separate lawsuit in a different location. USCIS Emma says that a dual citizen doesn't have any hold on it, but clearly this is fake news. Piece of advice: if you can get Emma to say that, screenshot that for it and send it to Zach.
One of the best things about this stuff, so there's a case that just came out of the Western District of Washington where the USCIS lawyers we're talking, I mean, there's just so much confusion about the dual citizen issue right now. Like the USCIS lawyers were told, no, this doesn't apply, and then told that to the government attorneys, who then filed a thing saying like, oh, no, 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 this person is exempt from the pause. Their application will absolutely be resumed. But then there's a separate declaration in the case where it says the complete opposite. So the person won their case, but the evidence in the record, it says something completely different than what the USCIS attorneys were saying. So it's just so much confusion going on with dual citizens.
Okay, Madrad, who just joined us, just had a question about does it mean an Iranian F1 who applied for a green card when you're under it will be denied? No, it does not mean that. Because if it meant that, that would be illegal. But if you get denied, call us. We'll sue. DB2, I like DB 2.0, different state. I am not sharing that because we need to see where our plaintiffs are going. We have to create standing and venue for our plaintiffs. Do you guarantee the win if the first DB lawsuit wins? There are no guarantees in life except for death and taxes. And certainly there's no guarantees in lawsuits. Just isn't. So you're in the wrong profession if you're looking for guarantees. Gentlemen, been a pleasure. Have a great evening. Zach will take care of your baby. I'll look at the stuff tomorrow that you send out. Thank you, Greg, for being totally awesome as always. We'll see you guys next Wednesday at 6 o'clock.